I would like to next introduce you to Sheriff Mike Poindexter, Modoc County.
Thanks, Bruce. It's really a pleasure to be here. I want to thank all of you. It's an honor for me to be here. I've been a public servant my whole life. To see the people getting out of the house, getting off the sofa, coming out and getting themselves educated as to where this country's going and where we need to take it. It's kind of gotten off track. Bruce and I chewed some of the same dirt in LA, I think, years ago. A little history about me. I've been in Modoc County since 1987, so I'm not a Modocer. If there's any, there are some people from Modoc here, and thank you for coming over here. Jesse, young lady in the crowd here running for assembly, so you know it's great to see these young kids. It really is. Jesse's the chair of our Republican committee in Modoc County now. So. I'm lucky, like Dave is here, in Modoc County. We have a comprehensive land use plan, but the funny thing is I didn't know anything about it. I'm a relatively new sheriff as well. We have a resource and conservation officer that runs the Farm Bureau, and he says, hey, there's a guy by the name of Fred Kelly Grant going to be speaking in Josephine County about some problems they're having up there over mining issues. He says, you might want to go, and it would be interesting for you to go, and there's some things you should know. And that was the first time that I listened to and was aware of some of the problems that we're having that affect our economy. Because, you know, I'm a cop. I mean, have been either in the service or in law enforcement my whole life. We don't generate revenue. We don't go out and try to figure out how to get revenue. We protect the people. That's our job. And as sheriffs, which is I've worked for the state. I was a highway patrolman for 28 years. I retired. It's probably not a plus, maybe, to a lot of people. Then I worked for the city. But the sheriff's job has really opened my eyes to the fact that, God, I can't tell you how many times I took the oath of office over the years. Going in the military, going on one job to another job, without really knowing or really listening to or studying what I'm swearing to. And this process has really opened my eyes to that. I went from Josephine County to Las Vegas. Sheriff Mack was able to raise enough money to send, and I think pretty much just about everybody here was there, and learned more about the Constitution, learned more about the government, learned more about this key buzzword that's going around, coordination. And it's funny because I went back to Modoc, and we're the last frontier, I think. We're not on the way to anywhere. You know, we're 4,200 square miles, 74% public land. And when I say public land, there's something right there that needs to be educated. People need to know. You know who really needs to know it's public land? The government. That's exactly right. I had some Forest Service law enforcement in my office because I had some issues with one of their law enforcement officers and one of my citizens, and I told him that he was no longer welcome in my county. And they weren't happy, so they sent 5 guys up to try to put me in a corner. And I said, look, I'm just, my job, the people elected me, I work for the people of Modoc County, is to protect the people of Modoc County. What happened here shouldn't have happened. And until I can discipline, train your people, and hold them to the standard I hold my people to, they're not going to do that. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen here. The interesting thing was, I found out that they're trying to expand that authority, and I was looking at the last several lines of their plan to do that, which they sent out to everybody. And I had these guys in my office, and I pulled it out of my desk, and I said, you know, it says here that you're wanting to expand your law enforcement authority so that you can, 1, better protect the natural resources, 2, better protect your Forest Service employees, 3, and this is their document, better protect the people. And I said, you know, I've been a public servant my whole life, and that's just backwards. My job is to protect the people, number 1. Number 1. And yeah, I get the natural resources thing, but quite frankly, who knows how to protect our renewable resources better than the people that have been making their living off of that land for 3 or 4 generations? I mean, that's a no-brainer. So I said they weren't real happy with me, and they went away. But I've been educating myself more and more and more. And the oath of office, the Bill of Rights, really important, folks. And this is why it's so important, and I'm so glad to see people out here. Because I don't think, how many people heard this coordination like, you know, like Bruce said, it's a highly intoxicated driver doesn't have any. But how many people know about it? How many people know that the federal government has to coordinate? They don't just get to make decisions. You know, Modoc County has a depressed economy. And everybody's scrambling all the time trying to figure out how do we fix it. Well, you know, in Modoc County, how have we, what is our culture? Our culture is ranching, it's farming, it's hunting, it's recreation, it's used to be timber. You don't get to just start whacking away at this stuff without, and this is the problem, because nobody knows. Mitigating that and at least sitting down at the table with the people that live there and saying, how is what you're doing, or this is how what you're doing, is going to affect our economy. I'm a deer hunter. When I moved to Modoc County, I remember my wife, when the kids were little, she says, honey, can you pick up a loaf of bread on the way home? I said, sure. I went to the store and I couldn't find a loaf of bread. It was deer season. Nowadays, you can't even tell when deer season is here. Now, how did that happen? Did that happen with mitigation? Did they consider how any of those decisions have affected the economy of Modoc County? You know, I say no, they didn't. So this is why, and you know, the Tea Parties have been great. The passion that these people have is tremendous. And people call some Tea Parties radical. They may call us radical. You know, I think as long as, like Dave says, as long as we're reasonable. But, you know, I call us passionate Americans. You know, we care. Yeah, we're passionate about this. You know, I have 4 kids. They're all grown up and doing okay, but I've got 7 grandkids and another one coming. And it concerns me that they're not going to be able to do the things that I got to do when I was a kid. So, politics, you know, as far as I'm concerned, and I think I speak for everybody, you know, that's part of the problem with government these days is, you know, I have a standing order at the little Modoc Sheriff's Office, and that is, if anyone on my staff sees me even look like I'm making or starting to make a decision based on politics, to whack me with the biggest board they can find. I refuse to do it. Let the chips fall where they may. I'm going to do what's right. Throw caution to the wind. We need more of that. If I'm not here next term, so be it. And again, I don't want to spend a lot of time up here. We talked for hours this morning. These subjects, every one of these I go to, I learn more. It is an education and it is a work in progress. My thing is, we see these issues, and I'm sure everyone sitting in their chair probably sees this big government in Washington as a big immovable object. And that's true. We get enough people together, though, and we get enough of the sheriffs. By the way, why are the sheriffs so important? Think about this. Clear across this country, think of all the law enforcement, different types of law enforcement. There's National Parks cops, there's BLM, there's FBI, there's state agencies, city agencies. There is no other entity, there's no other law enforcement that is elected by you, the people. The sheriff is that. So what we need to do is be there for support. We need to support, we need to get these comprehensive land use plans. Modoc County, man, I was amazed. I went back after all these 2 conferences and I go, there's no way we got one of those. We have one. We've had it since 1995. And it's done some good. And it's interesting. We have, I'll give you a little, then I'm going to quiet down here for a minute, but we have 8 different committees: Livestock Committee, Wildlife, Water, Timber, Mining, Farming, Recreation, Business, Environmental Committee. All the members of the Land Use Committee, each one of those committees has members. They're registered voters in Modoc County and shall not be actively employed by any federal or state resource management agency. So my thing to you is, thank you so much for being here. I'm humbled by the company up here. These guys are just amazing people. Get out, spread the word. Little spot fires like this, we get enough people together, we can make a difference. So support rural America, and thank you very much for coming and listening to me.
Thank you, Mike.